Greetings, classmates, Professor Matthews, and baseball fans. My name is DeGary Sr., a sophomore, sociology major from the great city of Columbus, Georgia. And in my presentation today, I will be going over some topics that we discussed in class. So without further ado, let's jump right into it. The subject that I will be discussing will be the use of drugs while playing baseball and the Negro League. The Negro League was a professional league composed of mostly African Americans, players, and teams that operated in the United States from about 1920 to 1960 during the segregation era. African American players were not allowed to play with white players. This led to the establishment of the league due to the segregation barriers that African American players had to face. This league was not only formed for African American players to be able to play baseball, but as well as display their talents and skill levels. The league actually expanded to not only just the National Negro League, but as well as the Eastern Colored League, the Negro Southern League, and the Negro American League. These leagues was all formed in ways for African American players to display their talents and skills that will eventually lead to them being able to play in the minor leagues or even the major leagues. One name that may come to mind when thinking of the Negro Leagues would be Jackie Robinson. Jackie Robinson was the first African American player to ever play in the major leagues. But it didn't always start off like that. Jackie started off as a Kansas City Monarchy before being called up to the Dodgers in 1947. Jackie also played in the minors for 2 years from 1945 to 1947. Jackie suffered and faced significant racism, dealing with things such as not being able to travel with the team or even sleep or eat where the team was allowed to eat and sleep due to his skin tone. Now let's transition into drugs and baseball. Drugs and baseball are two things that I feel should never go together. But for years, many players have used drugs to enhance their abilities to perform better while on the mound. I feel like drugs is something that no player should ever use to enhance their ability to not only play better, but just in general because you are an athlete. And because it can affect your body and mind. Players don't take the use of drugs very seriously, although the major leagues do. That's why teams have put in place procedures and policies that prevents players from using drugs, especially while in season. I would be lying to you if I said that baseball players were the only players that use drugs. But hey, we're talking about baseball here. Speaking of baseball, one drug that was used very, very often would be LSD. LSD allowed for players to see double of things, allowed for the ball to also move slower or faster, as well as other players. One player that was known for using LSD would be Doc Ellis. Doc Ellis was a pitcher who played for the Pirates at this time. He used LSD very often, even at the airport. Although Ellis did use LSD very often, he was still able to perform at a higher level than any other pitcher at this time, still winning awards and being one of the lucky ones to be able to use drugs and perform at such a high level. Although, I still do not recommend using drugs while playing sports because everyone doesn't get lucky. In conclusion, I just want to say that drugs in baseball and the Negro Leagues were two very important things that we discussed this year throughout the semester. And they both play significant roles in the upcoming of baseball. Once again, I am DeGary Sr., and thank you for listening to my presentation.